Welcome to the Jeff Crilley Show. What are the secrets to being wealthy, healthy, and wise? For the next hour, Jeff goes beyond the headlines to discuss what's trending with today's movers, shakers, and newsmakers. And now, here's Jeff Crilley.
Good Saturday morning, DFW. We are already into February, and many people have already ditched their New Year's resolution to lose weight and get in shape. And of course, we always bring donuts into the studio, so we're guilty of this as well. My first guest is Suzy Harmon. She is a certified health coach, and she has written a book called Hungry for Health, Starved for Time. Welcome to the Jeff Crilley Show.
Hi, Jeff. Thanks for having me.
Now, we met at a networking group about a month or so ago, and you were telling me a fascinating story about yourself that you were never obese, but you were not healthy.
Right. Well, I spent a lot of years in what I affectionately call the rat race in New York City. I worked as a CPA, and I just was finding that after a while I had very low energy. I was fueling myself with coffee to get through the day, and having trouble sleeping, breaking out in skin rashes. So nothing like terrible, but just I really didn't feel like I was living a very vibrant, healthy life. And then when we relocated to Dallas, and I was raising 3 kids, and I was still working in that field part-time, I learned about this school called the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, and decided, that just sounds like there's something there, because it talked about holistic health and treating not just the root cause of your problems. And I was kind of getting a little fed up with the medications. Like, I was bouncing from doctor to doctor, and they were putting me on a bunch of different medications, and I was like, there's got to be a better way. So I enrolled in this school called the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, as I said, with no intention of changing careers. I just thought I'll learn some good things, might be able to help my family, myself, my friends, and it was really like a life-changing kind of thing.
And so one of the things that fascinates me is that you studied hundreds of different diets and different things that that people can do. What did you come away with after studying all these different ways to lose weight?
Right. So we covered over 100 different dietary theories. And what I learned, because every week, whatever we were studying, that's what my family and I were eating, my poor family. Your diet is really very bio-individual. It's based on your background, your ethnicity, your size, your DNA. And so there's no one correct diet that's right for everybody, for anybody, right? And so what I learned is you really need to learn to listen to your body. You really need to learn and keep a journal or something to understand how is the food impacting you, because that's where I learned the most, was when I was writing down what I was eating and then kind of tracking how I was feeling.
Now, there's a lot of people listening to this right now who say, that it sounds great, but I'm in a rush. I'm in a hurry. I'm working all day, and by the time I'm coming home, I just want to run through a drive-through. So, what's your answer?
So that's the reason that I wrote my book, because I felt like so many people were telling me when I started doing my health and wellness coaching, I love what you're doing, but I just don't have time for that. And, I think what it comes down to is if we don't make some time for this in our lives, eventually, unfortunately, we're going to have to make time to deal with the illness or whatever doctor we're going to have to end up seeing. So I think a little bit of investment on the weekends is what I always tell people. A little bit of meal planning, a little bit of food prep. They make it so easy these days, right? You can go to the store and get your veggies pre-chopped. And I just think a little bit of that, not a huge, you don't have to give up your whole Sunday, but just a couple of, an hour even makes a huge difference during the course of your week. So you can, run into the office, grab your bag of veggies and hummus and things like that really fuel you and don't leave you kind of feeling blah at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, which is how I always used to feel.
So I have a buddy who said, this week I'm on a water diet. I am drinking nothing but water for a week. And I just thought to myself, that can't be healthy.
Well, there are some theories out there to completely do like a fasting. I have never heard of one for a full week, but there are some dietary theories out there that say maybe a couple of days of fasting would be good. I personally could never even do that. I can't even do a juice fast. But I think giving your body a rest, like the Super Bowl's coming up tomorrow, so Monday is probably a good day for people to, go easy, have some green juice, have some smoothies with heavy veggies and drink a lot of water. I don't know that I could go a whole day with no form of protein. I don't think I'd get through the day like that. But if it works for him, again, very bio-individual, right? Maybe it'll work for him.
Do you feel like some people go all or nothing, that it's the extreme dieting is part of the problem, is that people have this New Year's resolution, I'm going to be strict, and they go too far in one direction and it's not sustainable?
Yeah, it's funny you said that, because I think there's a chapter in my book. It's called, Ditch the All or Nothing Attitude. And I think people do that with diet. I think they do it with exercise also. You set a plan. Like you said, it's February. Most of those resolutions have gone out the window. I think you just have to be kind to yourself. I think I see a lot of women especially, they have very high cortisol levels from stress. And when your body's in that state, it's clinging to fat. So these people that set their mind, I'm going to go do aerobics every day, it's really important that I do that. Well, no, maybe, you got to listen to your body, and maybe one day your body's tired and it's not up for that. And instead of pushing through it, maybe go do some stretching, go do some yoga. Better yet, go home and cook a nice meal and just chill and enjoy your food. So I agree with you. Yeah, it doesn't have to be all or nothing. And some days you just have to listen to what your body is telling you and maybe slow down. And as it relates to food, if you're craving something, listen to what that craving is telling you. Oftentimes, if people are craving chips or fatty foods or chocolate, it's a sign of some mineral deficiency in their body. And that's one of the reasons I also advise people to write down what they're eating and what they're craving, because we could uncover things and add certain foods to your diet that will minimize those cravings. And that's what I like to do when I work with people.
So if I'm craving Haagen-Dazs, does that mean I'm pregnant? What is that?
Well, so Haagen-Dazs, it's creamy and it's carb-like and there's sugar. So, maybe, there's some serotonin production that's happening and, it makes you feel good. So maybe there's other things that you could be adding in that'll give you that like happy feeling. And maybe just running or doing something aerobic will help with that too.
And there might be something to not sitting down and eating the whole container of ice cream. Maybe just like a little taste.
Yeah, and my husband wanted a Wendy's Frosty the other day, and I said, try this first. And if it doesn't satisfy your craving, I'll go and get it for you. So I put a frozen banana in a blender with some cocoa powder and some vanilla. And, he was craving that creamy sort of chocolatey feeling. And you know what? He had it, and he said it was pretty good. And, it satisfied the craving. So think now he's got all that potassium and the cacao powder that's an antioxidant versus all that sugar that's just going to make you feel so drained in about another hour. So I like to give people substitutions for some of these foods that they're craving, and rather than tell them completely resist those cravings, because that's tough in the beginning.
It seems like every time we turn on the radio, there's another study, and the study contradicts the previous study. And sometimes I'm reading that caffeine is good for you, and sometimes I'm reading it's bad for you. What's your advice to people who are, just following the latest study?
Yeah, that's what I love to do when I do my carpet workshops. I like to explain to people, that stuff is great radio material and airtime material on the news, but you gotta take it in stride, and you have to test it out and see, how does your body react, right? Like now there's this new book out, Eat Wheat, right? Where all of a sudden, first they were telling us stay away from gluten, and so I think we have to just test it out for ourselves. I remember years ago they came out with the thing that oat bran was great, and so every day I had an oat bran muffin. Well, I came to realize there was so much sugar in those muffins. So again, I think we have to educate, and of course, we read these studies, but I think you just have to try it for yourself first. And as I said, the food diary is your saving grace, because then you look and you see, how was I feeling? How was I sleeping? And if, what you did and the new thing that you tried didn't work, then maybe that's not for me.
Well, let's talk about health versus hype, because I know when you go to the grocery store, there's a lot of label fables. So it's saying all natural or, 100% real juice. When you get the marketing department involved, sometimes they can be a little, overzealous in their description of something, and you're grabbing it and you think it's healthy and it's not.
Yeah, I mean, what I always tell people is just read the ingredients on the back of the bag. Don't worry so much about the protein grams and the sugar grams. Just read the label. Focus on having something with 5 ingredients or less. Make sure you can pronounce everything that's on that label, right? So if it ends in OSE and it rhymes with gross, it probably is. If you can't pronounce it, it's probably an item, you really don't want to eat. You should understand, what's in that product. So, yeah, natural with a picture of a green leaf on the cereal box doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be good for you. I always like to tell people, truthfully, if it's in a bag or a box, it's probably not that good for you. If there's a commercial on TV for it, it's probably something, shop the perimeter. But of course, modern life doesn't allow for that. So yeah, just kind of read the ingredients, make sure you're understanding what's in your product.
Wow, you've been a great guest. So how do people get a hold of you? How do they get your book?
Oh, sure. Well, my book is Hungry for Health, Starved for Time. It's out on Amazon.com. And I do a lot of corporate wellness workshops. And you can go to my website, which is www.suzyharmonioushealth.com.
And Suzy with a Z-Y.
S-U-Z-Y, right.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the show.
Great, Jeff. Thanks for having me. It was great.
Coming up next, if you're thinking about selling your home, you don't even want to start doing that until you listen to my next segment and meet my next guest. That's next on the Jeff Crilley Show.
More of the Jeff Crilley Show coming up.